So this is the only reality show that I know of that a bird actually has a peach. The bird has a peach. The bird has a whole storyline. Whatever. Whatever. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for Real Housewives of Potomac. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. Real Housewives of Potomac. Now listen, so we get to the end of Karen's party, where she had a good party. And Monique actually invited everybody to her lake house for a getaway, including Candace. Because at first I was like, kind of confused. I'm like, so Candace is not going to be invited? But Candace was invited to the lake house. Go figure. If I was Candace, I probably wouldn't even went. But again, she talked to Chris as usual, and Chris was like, well, you know, you're kind of not at the best place with Monique, but you're not, you know, on the outs with everybody else. But it's her house. I'm not going to nobody's house that I'm not getting along with, trying to be in the... Listen, let me tell you something. I'm here, we're going off topic right in the beginning. There's a person who I knew I was very close to who passed on, okay? She passed on, and one of her siblings and I weren't on the best terms. And listen, I went to the funeral, and I just kept on pushing. And I'll never forget it, because other friends were like, oh yes, well, we're going to go to the house, you know, you go to the repast. And I was like, I don't got, sorry. I don't deal well in the fake realm. It's not one of my betters, you know, unless I'm just being a whole bitch altogether. But just in the fake realm on something serious, no, I'm not going to a repast at a person's house I don't get along with. And I didn't go. And let me tell you what happened at the repast. And it's terrible. But let me tell you what happened. They went on to the repast, baby, and story. Well, I got a phone call shortly after that, where one of the other folks wasn't at the best place with the sibling's wife. And they got her, baby. Got her. I will never forget it. When I got that phone call, baby, I was just on the phone like this. Bitch, they got you, honey. They got you. They said, baby, she went and girlfriend got her a plate of food and was just getting ready to start eating the plate, honey, and the wife was giving, honey, why are you here? I don't like you, honey, and I don't really want you in my house. I said, oh, right in front of everybody. See, because how do you come back from that? You don't. See, I should have took that. Y'all done got that little extra up out of me on here. Because I should have took that, and after I thought about it, I should have did a story time on it, and I may, and go and give more detail. I may, and give all the details of how everything went down. But just know this. I don't play around going to people's houses that I ain't the best with, because you'll never get me in a position where you just have the upper hand on me. No, bitch, we're going to be doing this. It's going to be, I see you, you see me, now let's get it. But you're not going to tell, no. Cock girlfriend like this, honey. Why are you here, honey? I want her out of my house, honey. And they gave her, well, my wife doesn't like you, honey, and you got to go. How embarrassing to have to take the walk of shame, put your plate down, and leave the repast, and everybody give it. I said, never catch me like that. But anyway, I said all that. Listen, let me get down off my soapbox. But boom, bam it, I'm back. Let's go. Let's move on. I went all the way off topic, but that was some good shit, wasn't it? Anyway, wouldn't happen to me. So I couldn't imagine why Candace would even want to go. But whatever, she went. So listen, Michael and Ashley were having this little conversation, and it was this whole thing about the baby. And see, here I go. He was like pushing this whole thing. Yeah, the baby needs to be with you. Blah, 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 blah. Well, me personally, yes. When babies are real, real small, no, you don't want to leave them. And that's just a natural thing. You don't want to leave your newborn nowhere. But that's when you make the adult decision that, okay, this is what I'm doing right now. So other than to go to work, what are you doing? So I didn't understand why it was that Ashley felt the need to be at the party. But she said she was taking her baby and going to the party. There's no way. And then it was like a whole thing. They're going to take the nanny too. Just stay your ass home. It wasn't necessary. You didn't have to be there. I'm sure the show wouldn't have punished you for not being on a retreat and you just had a baby and a torn bowel. So that... Whatever. Anyway, I just didn't understand why she even felt the need. This is one of many sacrifices when you become a parent. You don't get to go to all the parties. You don't get to go everywhere that you went when you didn't have no baby. Anyway, moving on. Baby, we had this whole little episode in there, this whole little spot where Karen just went all the way in. I mean, all the way in on Giselle's fashions. Baby, she sat back in that confessional and let Giselle have it. But everything she said was true. I don't give a darn. I tell y'all this all the time. Every week I feel I'm going through this whole thing about Giselle. Giselle cannot dress. Beautiful woman. She kept herself up nice. You're a good looking woman, but girl, you just can't dress. It's just some people just cannot dress. And this is the funny part. They will think that they are wearing it out. Baby, you can't tell them that they're not sharp, honey. And they will be walking around, honey, and think that they are clean as the Board of Health. And everybody's giving this, honey. Old Navy from head to toe and walking around like it's Prada. Can't tell them nothing. Can't tell them nothing. I mean, just some people, it just don't matter. It just, no matter how they try to put it together, they just have no fashion sense whatsoever. You can't burn it into them. You can't lend it to them. They just don't have it. They just don't have it. They just don't know any better. They just be looking ridiculous, and that's that. Giselle is one of those people. And then Giselle not even cheap. She will go spend good money and be looking ridiculous. Sweat socks and sandals. Stuff like that. Like, you can't make this shit up. I got a family member. Listen, here we go. Here we go. Black patent leather sandals with purple sweat socks, baby. And standing in that shit and wearing somebody else out about what they had on. And the whole time, baby, I was given this. Sweat socks and sandals. An absolute no-no. Anyway, again, let me get up this soapbox out of today. But boom, boom, bam, and I'm back. Anyway, listen, I'm going on. Karen wore Giselle out. Wore her out. I can't wait to see when we get to the reunion, because I'm sure that's going to come up again. I mean, she was squalling. She was over there laughing. They had to get her some water and just falling out, baby, laughing at how she was wearing Giselle out. But just, it's the truth. Giselle cannot dress to save her life. Moving on. So, okay, so going up to the lake house, you got Giselle, Karen, and Monique, and the damn bird. Do you know how sick of this bird I am? Sick of the bird. I mean, and then they've kind of said the bird basically stinks, because birds do stink. They stink. Ain't no different than any other type of animal or pet, honey. If you don't keep behind it, it stinks. Birds stink. They do stink. Just like dogs, just like cats, just like... If you get the wrong kind of humans, honey, as pets, they stink too. Catch it. Anyway, moving on, honey. So, we got this bird. They had to ride up in the car, and Giselle was like, Giselle, girl, you better than me, because I would not have sat. I wouldn't have rode to the Valero, honey, up the street with that bird in the back seat, and I'm sitting next to it. It wouldn't have happened. Nobody sit with no damn bird. Ridiculous. Then they get there. The first thing the bird does is attacks Wendy. Now, I can't say I disagree with the bird. Wendy, you a whole damn mess. So, the bird, and then, so ignorant. The folks at Bravo, they so shady. They are so shady. Baby, they played up that the bird didn't like Wendy. They were giving the bird lines, honey. I said no. Did the bird got closed caption? The bird did attack Wendy. Now the bird ain't like Wendy. I said, this is terrible. A whole mess. Anyway, the whole bird has a whole storyline. Anyway, right out the gate, Wendy and Ashley get into a little conversation. And I kind of agreed with Wendy. I didn't understand why Ashley was there with her baby and her nanny and all of that. But it wasn't for you to say. It's not your lake house. It's not your trip. And nobody gives a shit. It's not your place. It's not your place. And you were quite aggressive, ma'am, when you went at it. And I am not no big Ashley fan. But, girl, you were doing the most. You really, really were. You were doing the most. She went there. I don't know. It was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot. And I don't know if I seen this wrong or heard this wrong. Wasn't Wendy talking? Because see, the whole thing Wendy was talking about was all of what she went through to be able to leave her baby at home. Guess what? You shouldn't have been there either, Wendy. Because you felt the same way I felt. Neither one of y'all should have been there with y'all newborns for 3 days. Just stay home with your damn baby. But you definitely ain't in a position to be, chastising somebody else about it. Like, because it's not your trip, just shut up. But she's talking about freezing her milk. What are you freezing it for? Because that milk that you were producing, if I seen and heard everything the way I think I seen and heard it, the milk you were producing was useless because you were drinking. You can't drink wine and be doing shots and be making milk. I know you ain't feeding your baby no old drunk ass milk out your titty. Like, ain't nobody got time for no tequila shots out your titty for the baby. Girl, I said, y'all tell me in the comments, did I hear it wrong? Did I see it wrong? But I was really feeling some kind of way. I ain't really down. I ain't a fan of the tequila shots out the titty. I don't know about that. Anyway, y'all tell me, did I see and hear it wrong? Moving on. Shortly after that happened, Wendy had a little conversation with Monique. And Monique kind of told Wendy, what you had to say wasn't so bad. It was your delivery. And, you don't know her like that. You don't know these ladies like this. So you have to learn. Delivery is everything with these ladies. And she kind of was like, okay, she pretty much received what she was saying. But she didn't, she just took it and went on. It was no big deal. Candace ended up pulling Giselle to the side and apologized to her for the situation that happened on Twitter. And, that's becoming a real ongoing thing, is Candace apologizing about her Twitter. Girl, you have to... I know you see this, and you see how ridiculous it looks as you're watching back, as we're watching. How often you are apologizing for your behavior on Twitter. You need to stop. Anytime you got to keep apologizing for whatever it is, you need to stop. You're doing the most. You need to stop. But she apologized, and Giselle actually accepted the apology. And then it was funny when she started. She's like, "Girl, you was at the point you wasn't being invited to the wedding, girl. Like, you were doing the most." I was like, "Oh God," pretty funny. So then they move on. They go to this little dinner. They have their little dinner, and they're playing this game. And they're like, we want to get deeper and get to know each other. I said, this is not a good idea. I said it from the door. Not a good idea. Baby, they start right in. Right in. Karen ends up asking Giselle about Jamal and his infidelity and his outside children. And girl, how does that make you feel, honey? Since we're going deep, honey. And Giselle was like, I don't appreciate that you even asked that question, but I'm going to go ahead and answer it. And she answered it, but I was like, I can see right now where this is going to go. Somebody going to get mad, and it's going to be some mess. Then Karen asked Ashley, girl, did your booty hole heal up? Ashley, I don't feel bad for you because you ain't had no business sharing that you had a tore booty hole, honey. But where Karen, see, Karen's shady, honey. Karen went further with it and said, girl, do you have to, are you required to use your booty hole within your marriage? See, that was a double whammy that she was getting at you. Because you know what they say about your husband, girl. She was getting at you. She was throwing a curveball and mushing you in the face at the same time. I said, oh, Karen, you shady, honey. And she's like, Karen's like, honey, because I don't have to use my booty hole, honey. I ain't got to do all that in my marriage. I just wanted to know, do you have to use that in your marriage, honey? Then Giselle goes and throws out to Candace, because they were talking about, girl, you know, she said, well, I was one of few brown girls in my school when I was growing up. And Giselle was like, oh, okay, nice. So is that why, they asked her, is that why you took up African American studies? And she's like, yeah, that had something to do with it. She said, is that why you got your nose done? And Candace was like, what? Girl, who told you I got my nose done? I said, Child, this little game is ugly. Baby, she said, I never got my nose done. She's like, girl, I thought that was public knowledge that you got a nose job. I thought everybody knew you had a nose job. And then she was giving, but whoever said that? I never said I had a nose job. She never actually came out and said I didn't have a nose job during that conversation, I don't think. But they were showing like pictures of her, you know, past and present pictures. And I was like, well, I don't know, she could have, but then she didn't have to. I don't know. It ain't really all that interesting, but it was just funny that she threw that out there, and that was shade, complete shade. Then Karen and Wendy, I said, oh, here we go, honey. Karen went right there with Wendy, honey, and was like, listen, girl, I hear you were out making comments about my bedroom and what I do in my bedroom with my husband. Honey, you don't know me like that, and I don't know you. I said, oh, shit. Game over. Like on Saw, honey. Game over. I said, oh, Karen ain't playing the game no more, and she told her, you don't know me, honey. And what I do in my bedroom is really none of your business. But you don't know me. And if you want to ask questions about me, honey, don't go around asking my neighbors, honey. You and I can go and have dinner, honey. And then you can ask me some questions, and maybe I'll answer you. But don't be asking people questions about me, because I don't know you. I said, oh, Karen. And Wendy was like, oh, Karen, but I do know you. We know each other. We sat on the same board. She was like I said, honey. So shortly thereafter, Wendy went at Ashley again about the whole baby thing. Went right back into it. And so, you know, Wendy and Robin have already made a bond. So Robin was trying to diffuse the situation and say, well, don't you feel like, you know, because they tried to squash it. And she's like, but you don't feel like you owe her an apology? She was like, I don't owe her nothing. I don't know her. I don't owe her nothing. And she's like, you don't feel like you were combative? She said, no, girl, when I come for her, she'll know. I was like, girl, Wendy, what's going on? And everybody at the table was kind of like, whoa, wait a minute. Like she literally, we watched her. I don't know what else is going on that we ain't seeing, but she zoomed in on Ashley. She just had her sights set on Ashley. And I was like, okay. And then they had broken it back to the fact that she really did feel a kind of a way, that she went through a lot of preparation and everything, and she would have preferred to, you know, if she knew she could have did it, she'd have brought her baby too. Okay, well, that's all fine and good. Call some goddamn body and tell them to bring the little boy in. Come on. Or the little girl. It's a little girl. Bring the little girl, and then you'll have your baby. But girl, all this, what are you giving? This is some personal stuff. It just was terrible. Then she ended up, and y'all know Ashley's mouth, honey. She sat down, and she ended up calling Ashley a bitch. Like, girl, see, that's the thing. I don't owe you an explanation, because I don't usually even deal with folks like you. And she's like, yeah, she said, girl, see, you're too aggressive. Ashley told her, you're too aggressive. You have no reason to even be this aggressive. And this is why you don't have any female friends. That's what you were saying, you have no female friends. Girl, this right here is why you don't. Because you on that bullshit. And she was like, girl, I'm a female. And I have friends. So therefore, I do have female friends, honey. I was like, no, Wendy, that ain't making sense. That ain't making sense. And then when she really went there, baby, when she told her, she said, you know what, in my real life, girl, I don't even fool with people like you. People like you don't call me Wendy. So don't call me Wendy, honey. You will be calling me Dr. Wendy. When you're going to approach me, you approach me correctly. You understand, bitch? I was like, and, honey, that's how everybody's face was at the table. I said, oh, Miss Wendy, you a whole lot, honey. And this is why T'Challa, he had, just like you came in there, baby, and had your sights set on Ashley, T'Challa had his sights set on you. That's why you got attacked by the bird at the beginning of the function, honey.